The children queued up for their buses to head home after school ended for Christmas vacation. The excitement of the impending holiday and a week off was clear on every face except Nicole's. Unlike the others, she couldn't muster any Christmas spirit. Knowing her older brother Kyle would be staying at college for special courses made her sad. At 11 years old, Nicole was born late compared to Kyle, who was 10 years older. Despite the age gap, they had a close sibling bond. Kyle had always been there for her, taking her to the park, helping her start school, and even playing with her Barbie Dolls trademark. Nicole often wished Kyle were her age so they could spend more time together. When Kyle went off to college, Nicole felt like her world had turned upside down. Even during his summer visits, he seemed different, but those weeks were precious to her. Nicole's mom, Janice Parker, tried to explain why Kyle couldn't be home for Christmas, but Nicole couldn't quite grasp it. The bus ride home was noisy, but Nicole sat quietly, staring out the window with tears in her eyes. Her best friend Allison McKylazzi tried to comfort her, but Nicole remained inconsolable. When the bus stopped at her home, Nicole hurried inside, letting the door slam behind her. She dashed upstairs to her room, threw her school bag in the corner, grabbed her favorite Kyle doll from the display case, and collapsed on her bed. The tears she had been holding back finally flowed, and she sobbed into her pillow. "Why does he have to be so old? I wish Kyle were my sister instead of an older brother," Nicole cried, pounding the Kyle doll on the bed covers for emphasis. "Why? Why? Why?" she repeated through her tears, eventually crying herself to sleep. In the corner of the display case, Nicole's Barbie fairy doll stood silently, seemingly observing. A keen observer might have noticed a slight wave of its wand and the delicate movement of its transparent wings. Was it caused by a light breeze? The Kyle doll Nicole held was gone, replaced by a small, childlike doll in a pretty yellow dress. Had Nicole picked it up by mistake? The usual Kyle doll spot in the display case now lay empty. "Nicole? Nicole, wake up. It's time for supper," her mother gently shook her awake. Nicole stirred, rubbing her eyes. "I must have fallen asleep," she mumbled sleepily. "I guess you did. You're still in your school uniform. Why don't you get changed and come downstairs? Supper is about to be served, and your sister and father are already at the table. We're going to decorate the Christmas tree after supper," Kyle said from the doorway. "Okay, Mother. I'll be right down," Nicole replied, getting up from the bed. She carefully placed the small doll back on the shelf of the display case, smoothing out its wrinkled dress. Strange, she thought, I don't remember this doll. Nicole placed it where her Kyle doll usually stood, not noticing that Kyle was missing. Nicole took off her school uniform and hung it in the closet. After quickly washing her face and hands, she brushed out her long hair and tied it back into a ponytail with a red scrunchie. She grabbed a pair of jeans and slipped them on, topping it off with a red turtleneck pullover. Satisfied with her appearance, she headed downstairs. As she descended the stairs, it suddenly struck her. "What sister?" she exclaimed to herself, almost tripping on the first stair. "I don't have a sister, and Mom and Dad are divorced." Nicole was confused. What was her mother talking about? "She must be joking," Nicole muttered as she reached the foyer and walked toward the dining room. Her breath caught as she entered the room. There, sitting at the head of the table, was her father. Nicole stood frozen in the doorway. This was impossible. He hadn't visited at Christmas since he remarried when she was 6. Since then, he had only visited twice. Seated in Kyle's usual spot was a girl who looked about a year older than herself. What was going on? Nicole thought, bewildered. Who was that other girl? Both of them glanced her way as she stood in the doorway. Her father then returned his attention to the newspaper he was reading. The girl kept looking at Nicole, then looking away, as if wanting to say something but hesitating. "Well, sweetheart, are you going to sit down or become part of the furniture?" Her mother entered the room carrying a tray of food from the kitchen. Nicole was so bewildered that she said nothing, but walked to the table and sat in the chair opposite the unfamiliar girl. Then it hit her. "Kyle," she blurted out, realizing who she was seeing in the girl's face. The girl met Nicole's gaze and shook her head subtly, urging her to stay quiet. "Who's Kyle?" her father asked, suddenly aware that she was mentioning a boy's name. Nicole took her cue from the girl. "Sorry, I was thinking about Kyle Bridges. I have to call him later. We're working on a school assignment together," Nicole explained. "Oh, he's a nice boy. I thought maybe you had a new boyfriend," her father replied casually. "Not hardly, Daddy. Just a school project," Nicole replied, feeling somewhat embarrassed. "Caroline, would you lead us in grace, please? I believe it's your turn." "Your sister did it yesterday," Janice asked, taking her place at the table. "Yes, Mother." Nicole couldn't believe what she had just heard. The girl sitting across from her, who looked so much like Kyle, was indeed her sister. Her mother had just confirmed it. Then it dawned on her, it was Kyle. And Dad was here as if he had never left. But how? What was going on? Nicole felt like her world had been turned upside down. The rest of the meal passed with minimal conversation. Janice and Gary made small talk about their day, seemingly oblivious to any changes. It was as if Gary had never left and Kyle had never been away at college, but instead, a daughter was still at home. By the time the meal ended and the girls were excused from the table, Nicole was ready to explode. The eye contact she had with Caroline left no doubt in her mind that the girl knew exactly what had happened. As they left the dining room, Caroline grabbed Nicole's hand and practically pulled her up the stairs to Kyle's room. Upon entering the room, Nicole's mouth fell open. This wasn't Kyle's old room at all. Though laid out similarly, it was clearly furnished for a girl, with all the typical accents of a preteen girl's bedroom. Caroline gestured around the room. This, and this, motioning to herself and the lavender and white dress she was wearing. "Do you have any idea what has happened?" "No, I think this is bizarre. You're a girl, Dad's home like he never left." "I must be dreaming," Nicole replied honestly. "Nicole, I have to find out what's going on. It seems like only you and I know that things have changed. A couple of hours before you came downstairs, I was sitting in a lecture hall listening to my professor, and the next moment I was walking home with Mom from a ballet class wearing this dress and carrying a ballet outfit. I could not even tell Mom who I was. She just kept calling me Cassie and telling me how well I danced and how pretty I was in my pink leotard and white tutu. Nicole, I have become a girl and I have no idea how it happened. If things don't change back to normal quickly, you are going to have to help me with the things I don't know. I don't dare tell Mom or Dad who I really am. They will think I am crazy." Cassie started to cry. Nicole reached out to her new sister. Where Kyle was always the one to be there for her, it was now the other way around. She had to help him. The two girls embraced in a tight hug. "It is all right, Cassie. I'll help you the best way I can," Nicole said. She really meant it. Deep down inside she was glad Kyle had changed, even though she did not know why. She liked the idea of having him for a sister. She knew it was a little selfish, but at that moment she did not care. They embraced for what seemed a long time. Finally Nicole broke away and looked at Cassie at arm's length. "Are you really a girl? I mean all over?" she asked. "If you mean, do I have to sit down to pee?" "I think so. I have been afraid to look. I am sporting a chest though," Cassandra said seriously, as she put her hands on her chest. The bluntness of the reply caused both girls to look at each seriously, and then the moment was broken as both girls started to laugh at the ridiculousness of the situation. "I guess I can't call you little sister anymore, huh?" Cassie quipped. "I don't think so, Cassie. Not when it looks like we can wear each other's clothes. I guess I will have to teach you how to be a girl." Hey, let's check out your closet, Nicole asked. For the next hour, the two girls explored Kyle's changed room and its contents. They were surprised at the completeness of the changes. Everything a young girl needed was there and had the appearance that it was a used room. Even the contents of the bottle of nail polish on the dresser was half used. The hamper in the corner of the room even had some clothes in it that was obviously worn and then readied for the wash. The more they explored, the weirder they both felt. There was a moment of pause between them when they found the plaid school jumpers and white blouses neatly hung in the closet. It was obvious that they both were now in the same school. I guess I can forget about my professor's lectures now, Cassie quipped as she ran her fingers over the skirt of one of the jumpers. There was magic in the air and they both felt it. This is weird, Nicole said with a little fear in her voice. I wonder what else is going to happen. I don't know, Nan, but I don't think we have any control over it if it does. Hey, I better get changed, we have to go downstairs and decorate the tree. Can you undo the buttons on the back of this dress? I can't reach them, Cassie said. Sure, Nicole replied. She walked behind Cassie and undid the small bow on the tie back and undid the buttons. Cassie stepped out of the dress as if she had been doing it all her life. She pulled the white cotton slip over her head and threw it in the hamper. Standing in panties only, she looked at Nicole and then pulled the waistband of the yellow panties away from her body and looked between her thighs. That's proof, sis. Whatever happened to me is complete. I will have to sit down to pee from now on, she said with a smile and a giggle. And you better tell Mom to get you some bras too, Nicole said jokingly as she pointed to the small bumps on Cassie's chest. Yeah, I think so. She better get you some too, Cassie said. The two sisters started to laugh and hug each other. Nicole never felt happier in her life. 10 minutes later, the two girls, both dressed in jeans and red pullovers and looking almost like twins, entered the living room. They were about to embark on their first activity together as sisters, the first of many they would share for years to come. In Nicole's room, the Barbie fairy doll and the small childlike girl doll touched hands and vanished, replaced by two ordinary but charming teddy bears. Nicole would never notice the change or recall ever having had a Barbie fairy doll. She would remain unaware of the magical power her wish had unleashed. Her family was whole again, and both sisters would come to appreciate the wonders of this strange but beautiful magic. As for Kyle, he would never discover what had caused him to become nearly identical to his sister, but he adapted quickly, aided by a touch of magic. Kalidra smiled as her two favorite dolls reappeared on her dresser. Times like this, I'm glad I chose to become a fairy godmother and guardian, she said to herself.